When you see incongruency in others' leadership, do you call them on it or adapt? Um, I'm a fan of calling them on it. Now, here's the deal. I am that leader, so I want people to call me on it personally. But I gotta get you gotta get like there's a wonderful book called The Five Temptations of a CEO, and I forget the guy that wrote it. So John, maybe you Google that for me. The Five Temptations of the CEO, really cool book. And in it, the guy basically talks about how most CEOs got to where they wanted. They set forth an intention, they carved out their path, they worked their ass off, and when they got there, they stopped. And the five temptations, one of them was you stopped getting feedback. You stopped listening to people. You started protecting your position instead of how much you fought for it. So the first thing I would ask you is to think about the leader you're referring to. Are they in that plateau where they're protecting themselves, or do they really want to grow? Are they the kind of person that is looking for feedback, is looking for growth, etc.? So here's the easiest thing I'd recommend. No matter what you do is you do, hey, I'd like you to give me some feedback on how I could perform better, and ultimately I want to be a leader at a higher level. What would you recommend? And you ask some questions like, knowing what you know about me, what do you see that works? What do you see that works? Knowing what you know about me, what do you see that doesn't work? And then I'd ask, knowing what you know about me, what are some of the obvious changes I need to make? Here's the deal, you ready? My wife and I are very different. And my point of view is this: if you are both exactly the same, then one of you isn't necessary. You know what I mean? Like, I have a tendency to go big picture, and my wife has a tendency to say, how do we keep things safe and secure? If we were exactly the same, one of us wouldn't be necessary in the relationship. So my first thought for you, Don, is there something you need to give up about how your spouse is acting? Like, you got to get, like, whatever you resist persists. It's what you see, it's what you focus on, it's what you think about, and then guess what? Lo and behold, they keep acting on it. But I will tell you, there was a time in my relationship where I was in a funk, and like, it didn't matter like what somebody like me would say or anybody would say. I was just, I'm sure we've all been there. We felt unappreciated. I was working hard, blah, 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 blah. Like, that was the story that was in my head. But I remembered one of my early mentors in the world of a relationship is a guy named Teresa Jabbour, Jabbour. Check her out. I'm sure you can find her on Facebook. Amazing. Still coaches me today. She wasn't my relationship coach at the time, but she made this statement to me one time. She said, there's two kinds of people in relationships. There's people that look for a 50-50 deal, like it's a partnership, like you control half and they control half, and that's how it works. And she said, you know what? Look at the divorce rate. How's that working? She said, it's not. She said to me, what I would ask you to do, Tom, is take 100% responsibility for your relationship. Take 100% responsibility. Who would you have to be? What would you do? How would you operate? What kind of love would you offer? What kind of communication would you offer? So I remember sitting down one day after that conversation and asking myself a couple questions like, okay, well, so what stops me from taking 100% responsibility? And I'm like, well, what stops me is the story in my head that I've always been taught it's a 50-50 deal, and it feels awkward if I take 100% and they take none. I said, well, we're still at 100%, so that's good. And if I operate at 100% and she operates at 70%, I got a 20% improvement. That's also good. So, but I started looking, what's stopping me? And then started to list out a couple of things. Then I wrote down, well, what do I really want out of my relationship? Not Don, what do I want you to do to make my life better? Not that kind of stuff, but what do I really want from this relationship? And I started writing down the things that I want. I was like, well, that's my wife. Then I asked myself this question, Don, and this is where it really got interesting. I said, what do I do? What do I do that creates separation in my best relationship? Like my relationship operating at level 10, what do I do? And all of a sudden, you're not gonna believe it, Don, I started writing down shit and I was like, oh my goodness. Here's what I got. If you take 100% responsibility for your relationship, you give it 100%. Like everything, the romance, the love, the communication, the passion, the joy, the fun, the ecstasy, the communication, like taking the trash out, all the above. You take 100% responsibility for 1 year. What do you think it's going to look like after that year? How do you think that's going to impact your spouse? Do you think they're going to shrink, or do you think they're going to expand? What music, activities, or inspirational mediums do you recommend for people to open up to their level 10? First of all, I love that question. Erica, sweet question. Okay, so what music activities are inspirational mediums? So first of all, I'm a huge fan of music. I love music. And you know what? I use music as a way to impact my emotions, as many of us do. So depending upon the mood that I want to set, man, my iPod's full of like 10,000 songs, and I've customized it because I want to create environments. So I use, music a lot. I created a long time ago some affirmation, like pump you up, like dialogue with myself, but I did it to like kind of cool techno disco music. So if I just need to get myself fired up and I need to have a conversation with me, I've said everything I wanted to say on there. I play that music and bam, that gets me super fired up. Activity wise, I got to tell you, this is a big one because, the bottom line is body in motion remains in motion until acted upon by an outside force. We all know that, Newton's law. So here's the deal. If you're in a funk and you want to go to level 10, you got to move your body. I had Tony Robbins. He's been I don't say a dear friend, he's been a pal, known him for a long time. Shit, met him when I was 18. Funny old story about that. But you know what? What I love about Tony's work is Tony, look, at the end of the day, here's what he says. Your past doesn't equal your future, right? Totally true. I'm in with that, right? The addiction to the past. But what I love is he says, look, you got to get your body going, right? You got to move your body. So, for me, I can remember like when I was a speaker early on and just getting started, I was petrified, man. I mean, it was like the second greatest fear amongst all human beings. So I figured out, like for me, I would do this. Rub my hands together. And then I'd go, yes, 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 yes. And you know what? Something about that just got my blood going, got me fired up. And then I would say things like, I now command my conscious and unconscious mind to give me the skills, the talent, the ability, the humor, the knowledge, whatever it takes to show these people, to get these people to change their lives, baby, starting right now. Yes. And I know some people think I'm nuts because I do that kind of stuff, but what I got was from Tony's message, 20 years ago, was you got to get your body involved. You got to get your physiology moving, right? He'd say three things. It's physiology, focus, the questions you ask yourself, and the conversations you're having in your head. So you got something you want to do, and you're fearful about it. You're fear of the rejection. You're fear of what if it doesn't work. You never think like the impact on your self-esteem, but that always shows up. And then, you don't think death, but you do. Like you kind of go to, if it all doesn't work out, I won't have any money and I'm going to die, right? Or no one's going to love me and I'm going to die, or, I'm going to get rejected and I'm going to die. So the first thing is to acknowledge you're not going to die, right? You're not going to die. I mean, unless you're talking about like, hey, I'm thinking about jumping out of a, plane for the first time and I've never, gone skydiving before and I'm a little nervous about it and I'm not going to get any lessons, you might die, right? But I'm not talking about that and I don't think you are either. So the first thing is to understand your brain's wired that way. Second thing you got to get is, look, you got to unwire what's going on inside there. Now, I don't know why the whole affirmation conversation was brought up earlier, but I will tell you right now, your head is a scary place to be. Most people, it is. We talk ourselves out of shit, and then we use things like intuition, gut, as almost like this, like, well, see, it's okay then, right? Because, I mean, you got to trust your gut, don't you? I mean, if you get that feeling. No, sometimes you got to call yourself bullshit and say, if you really want to go for something, it's going to be risky. There's going to be some hardship. There's going to be some challenge. It's not always going to work out as easy as you want. But if you answer those 5 questions and you know where you're going and you focus on that, you're going to have some fear along the way. I had fear even just doing this video thing. Hey, man, what if nobody shows up? And I thought, shit, it's a waste of an hour and be sitting here by myself. That's not going to be cool. But you know what? I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. You know what I mean? So Paige, I apologize. Paige, trust your gut. Trust your gut. I'm with you on that. But don't let your gut stop you from living the way you want to live and doing the things you want to do. Because then that's not your gut. That's that drunk monkey conversation in your head. And if you don't know the drunk monkey conversation, Dr. Jose Silva back in the 50s said your unconscious mind, right? Conscious and unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is like a drunk monkey. If you let a drunk monkey loose in your house, a drunk monkey, loose in your house, drinking like a fool, what's your house going to be like when you come back? Right? A total freaking disaster and poop everywhere. So don't let the drunk monkey, the mind chatter, you talking yourself out of shit, the 30 to 60,000 thoughts you have in your head every single day, stop you from doing what you know you want to do. Go from uncertainty to knowing and go kick ass. The new model of the world is you want to get as much experience as you can, and leaders get this today. I mean, my experience is leaders get this today, that we want people with diverse backgrounds, with different experiences. So what I would say to you is, look, you're not your resume, and you're certainly not the fact that you were fired twice. Maybe what you need to do is, like the guy I was just talking to a minute ago, you need to spin it into a better story. You need to go in, be proud of the fact that you've done a couple different things, you've had a number of different jobs, and that you were the kind of person that was a risk taker, that fought fought for it. And if you're looking to hire somebody on your team that's willing to be risky, do the work, be passionate, I'm your gal. So I would say spin it, spin it, spin it, spin it. I don't mean like, Fox News, no spin zone. I mean like spin it. Make the fact that you got experience matter, and that you're the kind of person that's been terminated twice. And you know what? Hey, last time, you know what you should do? You should get a list. Go on Google and put on there like famous terminations, or, like get a list of all the most significant people on the planet in business that were fired repeatedly over and over again, and start thinking about yourself like that, because that's the path you're on if you're open for it.